Well, let's leave the issue to lie until we've finished with Mr. Shoba, and presumably the witness you're going to call after Mr. Shoba.
Yes.
And in the meantime, can I ask both counsel and whomever your seconds happen to be, and whomever their seconds happen to be, to do the best you possibly can to facilitate the cooperation of the witness without us having to go into formal procedures that might necessitate a postponement. I would like to finish the trial as soon as reasonably possible because of the pressure on everybody to deliver a verdict with all deliberate speed. And if we can avoid a 2-week postponement, I'd be very happy
That's all.
if we could.
Want to try
Yeah.
And I also add that at this stage, if the fourth state decides to report on this, it's neither a he or a she at this stage in order to protect the particular witness's identity for purposes. But in order to even lessen the seemingly resistant attitude that is displayed. And I'm saying so with the utmost of respect and without necessarily being prescriptive.
Not at all. I don't need to know who the witness is at this stage. I don't need to know their gender either. So that's absolutely fine.
Indeed.
By the same token, I see no reason to impose any reporting restrictions in those circumstances. Yeah. So you'll do your best to secure the attendance of the witness, and we'll carry on in the meantime. Mr. Mohammed, you've heard what I have to say about avoiding a delay.
Yes, indeed, my lord.
Yeah.
That's also a priority of mine.
Yes, I think a priority of everybody's. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Makabela, are you ready to continue?
Oh, yes, the witness had been sorry.
I remind you again, Mr. Shoba, you're still under oath.
And adjournment, you had indicated that you had been in conversation with the relative of the deceased regarding the list and advice she gave for the baby goodies that you expected, correct? Yes. And you also had indicated that you had a meal that evening, and other than the fact that she spoke to the relative, I mean Ms. Pule, did you hear her communicate with anyone verbally over the phone?
No, I did not.
And between her arrival and her departure, did you ever communicate with anyone on your phone?
I think I received a call from my partner shortly after Tshegofatso arrived. I don't recall any other call, but yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
I think she called. I remember shortly after Tshegofatso arrived, and perhaps later on she did call as well.
Perhaps what?
Perhaps she did call as well a second time later on, but I recall the one where Tshegofatso shortly arrived.
And did that particular call, was she aware the deceased who you were talking to at the time? When you
Yes,
received
she
the
was
call?
aware.
And did that particular call have any significant bearing on the visit she had paid you that evening that you can think of?
Well, she started sulking a bit, but nothing too extreme, but she was just sulky, and I figured it from the conversation.
Sulky about the call?
The call,
sulky
yes. Yes, sulky about the call.
Okay. And there are allegations that prior to the arrival of Ms. Pule, you allegedly called or would have tried to make contact, or contact would have attempted to be made to you by Mr. Malipane using the contested phone. What is your response to that?
No, there was no such call made or received.
At least by you.
Yes.
And after the evening, can you describe then what happened as before she left, or during the course of the evening?
Yeah, so we ate, watching TV. She was on her phone the most of the time, and yeah, and then later on in the evening, she said her ride is outside.
Just
Okay.
if you say most of the time on the phone, in what way was she most of the time on the phone?
Texting. I figure perhaps she was on social media.
But not on a verbal.
No, she wasn't on a phone call. The only call we received was from Palesa.
And then you say later on about the said something. Proceed.
Yeah, then later on, she said her ride is outside. Okay, which was a bit of a surprise to me. And I said, okay, cool. And we walked out.
Just a minute. And why was it a bit of a surprise to you?
Because usually I'd take her home, I'd call an Uber.
Yeah.
Mm.
And did you express that sentiment to her, that you are surprised, or what did you say about that particular fact to her?
No, I guess it was a mental thought. I didn't say it to her. I just said, oh, okay. And then while we were walking out, obviously when she said my ride is outside, I was expecting to see a Uber,
Yeah.
perhaps the Uber cars, a Corolla, whatever. And then I realized it's a Jeep. And she walked directly to the car, to the front door of the car, and the window rolled down. And she had a small interaction with the driver, and then I figured it's someone she knew because of that brief conversation they had.
Yeah. Had it happened before that she would be fetched by anyone else other than an Uber from your place?
Yeah, at times, especially when she was employed. I guess now the reliance came from me getting Ubers for her because she was unemployed now at the time. But when she was independent working, it would happen quite often.
Under what circumstances would those have been?
Any circumstances.
Excuse?
Under any circumstances.
Would she have been fetched by a private vehicle, an Uber, or what type of people would be fetching?
Uber, the one time it was a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, a male guy. She was with one of her friends. I just don't recall the name. They're at my house, and the friend's boyfriend picked them up.
Yes. And when the interaction between the deceased and the person that she seemed to have been interacting with, how far were you when it occurred from the vehicle?
I was standing by the gate, and the car was standing just in front of the gate, but just further up. So I'd say about 7-8 meters.
And after the interaction with the deceased, with whoever she appeared to have been interacting with, what happened?
Then she said goodbye, and she got into the front seat of the car, which I guess further convinced me that she clearly knew whoever was picking her up.
And you walked back to the house?
I walked back to the house.
Did you have any particular interest on knowing who she was interacting with and who she was getting the lift from or ride from at that particular time?
Not necessarily. I think I got a little comfortable as we were walking out, and she went straight to the car, to the front passenger side. The guy opened the window, and she interacted with him. The guy responded, and she said a goodbye, and she got into the car, into the front seat.
Were you able to see how many people were in the particular vehicle?
It was one person, from what I could see.
Could you see the person that you say you saw?
No, I couldn't see the face because the car was standing. So can I just make a practical example?
You can just explain.
Okay,
if someone doesn't understand, we can ask you to.
Okay, so the gate is here. The car was parked towards that way, like at an angle. So it's dark at night, but I could see that they're wearing a cap and a mask, but I couldn't identify the physical structure of the face or anything because I was a bit far from the car.
Had it been Muzima Lipane that you had known before being in the vehicle, given what you have just described, would you have been in a position to identify him in those given set of circumstances?
I wouldn't have.
And after the deceased had left, did you communicate with her in any way that particular evening?
I sent her a text to say, I think something along the line of, why don't you tell me when you get home like I always ask you to? Because sometimes she wouldn't tell me when she got home, whatever the case is. And then I told her, yeah, no, I'm going to bed.
We will get back to the related text when I deal with the WhatsApp text, but
Okay.
To try and cover that area if there are problems about it. And after, did you get any response to that?
No, I didn't get a response.
Yes. And the next morning thereof, after her previous departure the night before, did you receive any communication from her, or did you try to reach her?
I tried to call her and she didn't pick up.
You tried to call her and you say she didn't pick up.
Yeah.
Did her phone ring?
Yeah, phone was ringing.
And do you have an independent recollection what time you would have done that?
I wouldn't know the exact time, but it would have been in the morning.
And later, did you further make any other attempts to contact her?
So I called her. No, I think I called her in the morning. No, I don't remember if I sent her a text after that. But yeah, that's the only activity I had of attempting to call her that day.
And when did you then become aware of the concerns about her not having made it home the previous night?
So I received a call from Balesa. In fact, I got a lot of missed calls on Sunday from Balesa to say that did I know where Tshegofatso was, and
Just on Sunday.
on Sunday. Yes.
So if it is on Sunday, then it would have been the 7th. Now, between the 5th and the 6th, did you make any attempt to get hold of her
I think
before you got the communication from police?
on the 6th, I think I did make communication, if I remember correctly. I called her, and I remember I did send her a text to say that if she doesn't get back to me by 12, I won't be able to go finish off the baby clothing, because I had a society meeting with friends in the afternoon.
And it's then Palisa informed you, and what was your response to that?
So Palisa informed me, and I said, no, last saw Tshegofatso on Thursday evening when he spoke to us. And she's like, no, we haven't seen her since then as well. And then she told me that they're on their way to Florida police station, or she said that Florida police station opening a missing persons report. And I told her I'm coming, I'm on my way, I rushed there.
And is it correct that subsequent to that, having made it to Florida, you also engaged with the police officers about the investigation towards the missing person, namely Ms. Pule?
Yes.
On which day, if it wasn't Sunday, did you then go with the police to your premises in order to advise them about the cameras, or to at least investigate the issue of the cameras?
On the Sunday.
The very same Sunday?
On the same Sunday, so yeah.
What prompted you to want to take the police and show them the cameras?
Because I wanted to find out whereabouts were. So I told them. So they asked me, when after you say, I told them on Thursday, and what are you guys doing and whatever. I told them that we were preparing a baby list and so on, and then it was very short, it was very brief. And then they took my numbers and said they'd call me if they'd need anything. And then just as I was about to leave, I remembered, no, there's cameras, and perhaps those cameras can be viewed. Then I told them, guys, actually, there's cameras at the complex. I don't know if we'll be able to view them now. It was early evening. I told them, I don't know if we'll be able to view them now, but let's go try. So they're like, no, good idea. The shaft, and they drove behind me.
What is it that you wanted them to view?
To see if we'd find any footage from Thursday evening with Tshegofatso leaving.